Pickles and jelly spoons, welcome back to Badgerworks. Today, this is a bit of crystal or glass or something or other that my daughter acquired from somewhere the other day, and I thought it was quite a nice little thing. So the other day I was casting some rubber and I had some left over, and so I decided to make a mould of this, which I did. Now the rubber that I've used here is a very soft rubber. It's the Shore rating is 5, which is absurdly low, so it means it's very soft rubber. And what it meant is that I could cast this in such a way that it's a one-piece mould. So you basically take the item out through the hole there, so you don't have any mould lines. And I ended up with this. So it's obviously an exact copy, and I decided it might be interesting to make a little diorama with this, just a very simple one. So I got myself a bit of tree. The neighbours were having some trees cut down a while ago, and I spoke to the tree surgeons while they were cutting up the trees and just got a few offcuts. So, but I thought basically something like that. But what I'm going to do is, I thought it'd be nice to light this and almost like turn it into a little lamp. So I've got a few other bits here just to show you what I'm going to use. So firstly, for the light itself, that is an Epistar diode. It's an LED, but it's a special type of LED. They are ridiculously bright. This one's 3 watts. It's absurdly bright. They're the same kind of LEDs that you see used in like the light on your phone and things like that. They are very, very bright. So there's that. We need a battery, obviously. So that's a 3.7 volt lithium polymer battery. So we'll use that. Charging circuit, micro USB. You've seen me use these before. They're very handy. You can buy these from China for pennies. Switch, just a little torch switch. And this is a 30mm wargaming base, and I've found these are very, very handy for mounting these charging circuits, because the charging circuit fits very nicely in that slot on the back. So yeah, you just drill a little hole for the plug to go through. So that's that. So what I need to do now is basically hollow this out so that we've got somewhere to put our electrics. So I'm going to take this over to the drill press and get started. So what I'm going to use for this, and again I think you've seen me use these before, this is a Forstner bit. It's designed to drill flat bottomed holes, but basically it has a cutting edge here that kind of scores the edge, and then these cutters here remove the material. So I use a variety of these to drill this out and till we get it to what we want. So that'll give us the recess and the hole for the blanking plate to go in, where our switch and everything will be. And then when I drill out the back of this, we'll hit the back of that hole and we'll be able to access it. So I've drilled out most of this now. You can see there I've made more than enough space for everything to go in. You can see what I've done is I've screwed the block to this piece of wood just to basically make it more stable and easier to hold, and just ride it along here, drill out all the way through, and then move it forwards, drill out again, and so on and so forth. So now I'm back to the 25mm Forstner bit, and I'm going to drill this hole in the top right through so that we can get the light to shine through. So now we've got the hole for the light, we've got the hole for the back plate, and also we've got our hole for all our electrics. So now we can start thinking about putting it all together. Right, so the next thing we need to do is fit the charging circuit into the back of this. So basically we just need to clean up the back of this a little bit, drill a hole for the plug to go through, drill a hole for the switch to go through, and also drill a couple of small holes because we need to take the charging status lights and bring those to the outside of this panel with fibre optics. So that's what we'll do next. So here's the back plate complete. We've got the hole for the switch to go through, the hole for the charging circuit, and the holes for the status lights for the charger. So now we can start wiring this all together, make sure it all works, and then put it inside the diorama. So here's our completed lighting circuit. It's very bright, as you can see, and I think that will work quite nicely to make this stone light up. So now we can think about putting this and all this together and actually completing the diorama. A little bit of super glue to attach the button. This is just cheap stuff from the pound shop. And to attach the charge circuit, use some hot glue. So what we need to do now is bring these charge status lights to the front. This is fibre optic that came out of an old toy that I got from a charity shop or somewhere. This is quite handy stuff because you just cut off however much you want and stick it on. So a couple of bits of this will do us a treat. To stick it on, we just put a dab of hot glue on the LED and hold it in place till it dries. Now the one thing I will say, if you're using this cheap stuff, don't bend it too much because it has a tendency to snap. So that's why you see I've done it quite long, and the reason for that is so that I can put it through and it won't break. So that's the last step, and then this will be ready to go. So I've just roughed this up a little bit just to diffuse the light, and took a couple of sharp edges off as well, and now basically that will sit on top of there and be very bright. So what I'm going to do now is put some paint on the top of here, to simulate dirt, and then we'll put some static grass on it and a few other bits just to dress it up a bit. So what I'm going to do is just get a pencil, and I'm just going to draw a light outline around the stone so I've got a rough idea of where it goes. So I know roughly where to apply the grass. So for paint I'm using this. It's one of these tester pots you get from DIY places. This one's called Chocolat, but basically it's brown. So yeah, it's a nice kind of earthy brown, and I find it makes a very good base colour for static grass. So I'm going to put some of this paint in this little pot. Don't need a great deal. That'll be more than enough, I should imagine. Now I'm going to add a bit of PVA glue. It's about 50-50 mix, and mix it up. Now we take a nice flat brush and so the first coat is just to give us some coverage, because you can see, because this is obviously the end grain of the wood, so the wood will just suck the paint in. So this first coat is really just to seal the wood. You can see how quickly that's drying. And now I'll put a thicker coat on. You can see I'm putting it on quite roughly, quite haphazard. Just put plenty of it on, got a nice thick layer. Now we take our static grass applicator that I made in a previous video and shake. Try not to jog the camera while I'm doing it. So in here I've got, it's mainly 2mm meadow grass, but there's also a little bit of 4 and 6mm as well, just for a bit of variety. There we go, I think that will do us. Now there's static grass everywhere, but what we'll do is we'll leave this to dry now, and then afterwards I'll put some watered down PVA on it just to completely lock everything in place. Okay, so now we've got our grass on, we can add the stone. I think that looks quite nice. So I'll stick that down with some PVA. Now I want to disguise the join between the stone and the base. So what I've got is some Woodland Scenics bushes. I have no affiliation with Woodland Scenics. I've never actually used any of their stuff before, but it's supposed to be good. This actually came from eBay. I bought a job lot of sort of diorama supplies from somebody, and this was in there, so I might as well give it a go. What I've also got are these. Now this is a pot of, these are road scalpings. They're granite chips that they use for surfacing roads. They resurfaced some roads around here a little while ago. and when they were finished there were piles and piles of this stuff, you know, around the curbs and everything. So I just went down there with my daughter with a bag and just picked up a few handfuls and brought them home. So yeah, quite handy for that. So we'll stick some of these on and see what it looks like. I think that will do us. Right, so I think that's looking quite nice actually. So what I've got here is a little spray bottle of isopropyl alcohol and another one of a mix of PVA and water. So I'll give it a little spritz of both and then just leave it to set up. Right, now we'll just leave that to dry and we should be done. And here is the finished article. This was a fun little project actually. It only took a couple of hours to do. Yeah, all stuff that I had in the workshop. Yeah, just an interesting subject, I think, you know, with the crystal and the rocks and everything. I'm very pleased with the way the granite shavings and the woodland scenics shrubbery turned out. I think it looks pretty good. So yeah, I hope this was of interest to you, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks very much for watching. Cheers. Bye.